It was another typical night on The Tonight Show. The audience was buzzing with excitement, cameras rolling, lights dazzling the stage. Millions were watching at home, expecting laughter, jokes, and the effortless charm of Johnny Carson. The guest of the night, a young woman, seemed nervous as she took the stage. Her hands trembled slightly, and she avoided looking directly into the bright studio lights. She smiled politely at the audience, but there was a tension in the air that no one could ignore. The conversation started normally. Johnny greeted her warmly, asking about her career and upcoming projects. But the woman's answers were short, her breathing slightly uneven. The crowd didn't notice it at first. They were too busy laughing at Carson's clever jokes. Then, suddenly, it happened. Her legs gave way beneath her. She collapsed in the middle of the stage, hitting the floor with a soft thud. Gasps echoed through the studio. Some people screamed. Others froze, unsure what to do. The cameras swung toward her, catching every shocking moment. The audience didn't know whether it was part of the act or a real emergency. Crew members rushed forward, trying to help. Phones in the audience and in homes around the world were recording, streaming every second of the unfolding drama. Johnny Carson's face, usually composed and humorous, turned serious in an instant. He leaned forward, eyes widening, then sprang into action. He moved across the stage, kneeling beside her. Calmly, deliberately, he assessed her condition. His voice cut through the panic, steady and commanding. "Is everyone okay? Give her some space. Let's make sure she's safe." The crowd held its breath. Cameras followed every movement, every heartbeat. For a moment, time seemed to stop. The audience, the guest, and even the crew were frozen in a mix of fear and awe. What Manny did next shocked everyone standing there. Wait, not Manny, Johnny. What Johnny did next shocked everyone in the studio and millions watching at home. No one could predict it. No one had ever seen Carson react like this before. This was a moment that would change the night forever. A moment where laughter paused and real humanity took center stage. The studio was silent, except for the soft shuffle of crew members rushing toward the fallen guest. The bright, cheerful energy of The Tonight Show had been replaced by tense whispers and anxious glances. Cameras panned across the audience, capturing the confusion, the panic, the concern. Everyone watching at home sensed that something unusual, something serious, was happening. Johnny Carson, the master of wit and timing, was now completely focused. His usually playful eyes were intense, scanning the situation. He motioned to the crew to step back, kneeling beside the woman on the floor. His calm presence contrasted sharply with the chaos around him. "Give her some space," he instructed. "Is she breathing properly? Someone get a medic." The crew obeyed, forming a protective circle. The audience sat frozen, unsure if they should laugh, gasp, or scream. Some stood up, craning their necks to see. Others pulled out their phones, recording the shocking moment. Millions of viewers at home were glued to their screens, sharing live reactions across social media platforms. The young woman's face was pale, sweat beading on her forehead. Her hands shook as she tried to sit up. Carson gently held her shoulder, speaking to her in a calm, soothing voice. "Take your time. You're safe here. Just breathe." The audience collectively exhaled as she attempted to respond, but her voice was weak. She apologized, embarrassed. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to." Carson raised a hand, silencing her. "There's nothing to apologize for. You're human. This can happen to anyone." Some audience members whispered among themselves. "Is this real? I think she fainted. Why is Johnny just kneeling there? Shouldn't they cut to commercial?" Johnny didn't cut the cameras. He knew every second mattered. This was a moment that couldn't be hidden. The world needed to see compassion, not panic. As medics approached, Johnny stayed by her side, gently holding her hand. The woman looked around, still embarrassed, and tried to stand. Carson offered support. "Lean on me if you need it. We'll get you through this." Meanwhile, viewers at home were reacting instantly. Social media lit up with comments. "Is she okay? Johnny Carson is amazing. This is so tense." The studio was silent, except for the soft shuffle of crew members rushing toward the fallen guest. The bright, cheerful energy of The Tonight Show had been replaced by tense whispers and anxious glances. Cameras panned across the audience, capturing the confusion, the panic, the concern. Everyone watching at home sensed that something unusual, something serious, was happening. Johnny Carson, the master of wit and timing, was now completely focused. His usually playful eyes were intense, scanning the situation. He motioned to the crew to step back, kneeling beside the woman on the floor. His calm presence contrasted sharply with the chaos around him. "Give her some space," he instructed. "Is she breathing properly? Someone get a medic." The crew obeyed, forming a protective circle. The audience sat frozen, unsure if they should laugh, gasp, or scream. Some stood up, craning their necks to see. Others pulled out their phones, recording the shocking moment. Millions of viewers at home were glued to their screens, sharing live reactions across social media platforms. The young woman's face was pale, sweat beading on her forehead. Her hands shook as she tried to sit up. Carson gently held her shoulder, speaking to her in a calm, soothing voice. "Take your time. You're safe here. Just breathe." The audience collectively exhaled as she attempted to respond, but her voice was weak. She apologized, embarrassed. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to." Carson raised a hand, silencing her. "There's nothing to apologize for. You're human. This can happen to anyone." Some audience members whispered among themselves. "Is this real? I think she fainted. Why is Johnny just kneeling there? Shouldn't they cut to commercial?" Johnny didn't cut the cameras. He knew every second mattered. This was a moment that couldn't be hidden. The world needed to see compassion, not panic. As medics approached, Johnny stayed by her side, gently holding her hand. The woman looked around, still embarrassed, and tried to stand. Carson offered support. "Lean on me if you need it. We'll get you through this." Meanwhile, viewers at home were reacting instantly. Social media lit up with comments. "Is she okay? Johnny Carson is amazing. This is so tense." Which country or city are you watching from right now? Write it in the comments. The crowd responded, some shouting from their seats, others typing on phones. Across America, across the world, viewers joined the conversation. People from New York, Los Angeles, London, Manila, and countless other cities typed their location, instantly connecting with this live, emotional moment. Back on stage, Carson continued to speak gently to the woman. "There's no need to rush. Let's make sure you're okay first." His calm authority grounded the audience. They felt the gravity of the moment, yet also a strange sense of comfort. The woman's breathing slowed, her color returning slightly. She attempted to smile, weakly. I think I'm okay now," she said. Carson nodded. "Good. That's all that matters right now." He stood, still attentive, as the medics checked her thoroughly. The audience remained silent, watching every second. They had witnessed something rare, not a performance, but real human empathy broadcast live to millions. Whispers spread through the studio. People began clapping softly. Some teared up. The energy shifted. What had begun as shock and panic was slowly turning into awe. Johnny Carson had not only saved an embarrassing situation, but had taught a lesson in kindness, calmness, and humanity. For the woman, it was a moment of humiliation transformed into a moment of support. She realized she wasn't alone. The audience realized that compassion could be powerful, even on live television. And the world realized that sometimes the hero of the story isn't the person under the spotlight. It's the one beside them, guiding them with grace. The cameras continued rolling. Phones continued recording. And viewers around the globe continued to type their cities, sharing their presence in this unforgettable moment. This was just the beginning. What Johnny did next would shock everyone even further. The studio air was thick with tension. The audience remained frozen, eyes wide, hearts pounding. Every single person, from the front row to those watching at home, felt the weight of what had just happened. She had collapsed moments ago, and Johnny Carson was still kneeling beside her, calm and composed, while the crew and medics hovered close, unsure of how to proceed. The woman struggled to stand on her own. Her hands trembled. She swallowed hard, trying to smile at the crowd, but the embarrassment was clear. Sweat glistened on her forehead, and her breaths came in short, uneven gasps. "Sir, I can manage," she whispered weakly to Carson. But Johnny wasn't having it. He gently held her shoulder, steadying her. "No, you need support. You're not alone here." The audience collectively exhaled. They were witnessing more than a fainting episode. They were witnessing courage under pressure. As the medics prepared to guide her off stage, something unexpected happened. A few audience members started shouting in panic, unsure whether the woman should continue, whether she was physically able to walk. Some whispered harshly, criticizing the live broadcast. Why is this happening live? They should have cut the cameras. Johnny raised his hand to silence them, his gaze sharp yet calm. This isn't about the show. This is about her safety and her dignity. The woman looked at him, gratitude shining in her eyes. She realized that amidst the fear, there was someone she could trust completely. Johnny's calm voice, his reassuring touch, was a shield against the chaos surrounding her. "Take your time," he said. "We're not going anywhere." Then came the moment that made the studio hold its breath. As she tried to step forward, she stumbled again. The medics rushed closer, hands outstretched to catch her. But Johnny stayed firm beside her, letting her find her own strength while providing silent guidance. The audience could feel it, every heartbeat, every second of courage, every small step forward. They weren't just watching television anymore. They were witnessing a lesson in resilience, compassion, and human decency. Suddenly, Johnny spoke to the crowd. Sometimes we are afraid of our own mistakes. Sometimes we hide our fear. But showing courage, even in vulnerability, is the strongest thing a person can do. Soft applause began to ripple through the audience. Some wiped tears from their eyes. Others whispered to neighbors, pointing at the cameras. The young woman straightened slightly, encouraged by Johnny's words, and tried again to stand fully upright. Have you ever had to stay calm under pressure in a public situation? Comment yes if you would have handled it like her, or like Johnny Carson. The medics gave a nod of approval. She was physically stable. Emotionally, however, the moment was overwhelming. Johnny remained by her side, kneeling, speaking quietly so only she could hear. You're stronger than you realize. Don't let anyone, or anything, make you feel otherwise. For the audience, this was mesmerizing. The energy had shifted from panic to respect, from fear to admiration. Johnny's composed demeanor and unwavering presence had transformed a potentially humiliating incident into a powerful display of courage and human connection. Even at home, viewers were tweeting, posting, and sharing the moment. Clips were already being uploaded online. Comments poured in. Johnny Carson is a legend. This is what humanity looks like. I can't believe he stayed calm and kind like that. And as the young woman finally managed to stand on her own, supported but independent, the audience erupted into applause. Tears, smiles, and whispers filled the studio. They knew they had witnessed something rare, a true act of courage in real time, amplified by compassion and dignity. But this wasn't the end. What Johnny did next, the unexpected step that would shock millions more, was yet to come. The studio lights glimmered softly as the young woman finally steadied herself. Johnny Carson remained at her side, a calm anchor amidst the lingering tension. The audience was silent, their attention fully fixed on the stage. Every pair of eyes, every camera lens, every phone in the crowd was capturing a moment that had already started to feel historic. For minutes, no one spoke. The medics checked her briefly, nodding in reassurance. She took a deep breath, her trembling hands now slightly steadier. The embarrassment she felt at collapsing on live television was palpable, but there was also a sense of relief. She wasn't alone. Carson had proven that night that compassion could exist even under intense pressure. The whispers began almost immediately. Did you see that? Johnny Carson didn't even hesitate. He stayed calm the whole time. The crowd was buzzing with admiration. It wasn't just a fainting incident anymore. It was a lesson in humanity being broadcast live to millions. Johnny finally stood, adjusting his jacket, yet he didn't release his reassuring presence. He looked out at the audience, addressing them in that calm, commanding voice that had made him the most trusted man in television. This, he said, gesturing gently toward the young woman, is a reminder. Life throws unexpected challenges at all of us. And sometimes, it happens in the most public of places. What matters is how we respond. Not with fear, not with ridicule, but with patience, respect, and care. The woman, still slightly shaken, nodded quietly. She could feel the weight of the studio's eyes on her, but Carson's presence gave her courage. For the first time that evening, she smiled genuinely, albeit faintly. Then came the moment that changed everything. A producer whispered something urgently to Carson. The woman looked puzzled, and the audience leaned in. The producer said, Almost in awe. She's not just a guest. She's someone people already know from the news. She's been working tirelessly in the community, raising awareness for mental health. Everyone's seen her on TV before. This isn't just a random collapse. She's someone whose work has inspired millions. A hush fell over the crowd. The audience was stunned. Some gasped. Some murmured in disbelief. "I know her," one whispered. "She's that activist." Suddenly, the weight of the situation shifted. This wasn't just about a fainting incident on live TV. This was a respected, known figure in the spotlight, vulnerable and human before the world. Carson, however, didn't change his demeanor. He stayed humble, letting her regain composure on her own terms. He knelt beside her again, softly. "See? Everyone is watching. But you're safe here. Take your time." His voice was gentle, unwavering. The audience felt the power of humility. Carson could have used the spotlight to embarrass her, but instead, he protected it. Cameras captured her small gestures of gratitude, her hands brushing against Carson's as a silent thank you. The audience, captivated, began whispering, some wiping tears. They realized they were witnessing something rare, live television that elevated empathy above entertainment. Across social media, viewers began speculating. Who is she? She looks familiar. Johnny Carson is handling this perfectly. Thousands of comments started pouring in. The energy of the moment had spread beyond the studio. Millions were watching, millions were feeling. For the young woman, this revelation was overwhelming. She had never expected her vulnerability to be shared, yet it was met with respect. For the audience, it was unforgettable. They had seen strength, humility, and recognition of human worth unfold in real time. And while everyone was beginning to piece together who she was, Johnny Carson prepared to do what no one expected next. He was about to turn this moment, already historic, into something even more powerful, something that would leave everyone, at home and in the studio, in awe. The stage was set. The world watched, breathless, waiting for the next unexpected move. The studio was electric. The whispers had grown louder. People were still reeling from the woman's collapse, yet no one dared look away. Cameras zoomed in, capturing every heartbeat, every glance, every tiny motion on that stage. Johnny Carson, calm and commanding, stood beside the woman, his presence grounding the chaos around them. The medics had stepped back slightly, satisfied she was physically fine. But emotionally, she was shaken. Her cheeks glistened with tears. Her hands trembled ever so slightly. She gave a small, nervous smile to the audience, still unsure how to face the millions watching at home. Then Johnny did something no one expected. He reached for the microphone. The audience leaned forward instinctively. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice calm but carrying the weight of authority and empathy. "Tonight, we've seen something unexpected, something that can happen to any one of us, even in front of millions of people." He paused. The room held its breath. Every camera, every lens, every phone was on him. This isn't about a fainting incident. This is about courage, about vulnerability, about humanity, and it's about how we respond when someone needs compassion, not ridicule. The audience erupted into whispers. Some nodded, some teared up. Carson's words were simple, yet profound. No one had ever expected a late-night host to address something like this in such a way. He turned to the woman. "You didn't fail tonight. You taught us all a lesson. You reminded us that even the strongest people have moments of weakness, and that's okay." The medics stepped aside, letting the cameras capture the moment. She tried to speak, but Johnny raised his hand gently. "You don't have to say anything right now. Just know that we respect you, and the world respects you too." Then came the shocker, the unexpected part the media would later headline. Johnny paused the show entirely. No jokes, no laughter, no audience banter. Just him, the woman, and the millions of viewers at home. "This show," he said, looking out at the audience, "is not just about entertainment. Tonight, it's about teaching us something far more important than jokes or ratings. It's about kindness, respect, empathy." The audience didn't know how to react. Some applauded, some teared up, some whispered to neighbors. Social media exploded. Clips immediately went viral. Johnny Carson stops The Tonight Show to support a guest. He didn't just host. He taught humanity live on TV, read posts across the globe. The woman, overwhelmed but comforted, finally found her voice. I, I can't believe this, she whispered, voice trembling. Thank you, Mr. Carson. He smiled gently. No need to thank me. Just promise me you'll remember that it's okay to be human, and that the world is capable of kindness, even when it seems impossible. Soft applause began to ripple through the studio. Viewers at home sent live messages, commenting, liking, sharing, and expressing their amazement. For millions, this wasn't just a Tonight Show moment. It was a lesson in courage, humility, and empathy broadcast live. Johnny continued, turning his words into a message for everyone watching. We all face moments we aren't prepared for. But it's in these moments that our true strength is revealed. Not through perfection, but through how we treat others and ourselves. The young woman's face reflected awe and relief. Her embarrassment had shifted into empowerment. She realized that her vulnerability, once a source of shame, had become a powerful lesson for millions worldwide. And as the audience stood, clapping, wiping tears, and cheering, the cameras captured what no one could ignore. Johnny Carson had turned a potentially humiliating live TV incident into a moment of global inspiration. The world would remember this night not for the fainting incident, but for the unexpected courage, compassion, and humanity of a legendary host. And for those watching at home, this was the moment that would stay with them forever, the night when laughter paused, empathy ruled, and humanity shone brighter than ever. The studio was electric, but quieter now. The initial shock had faded, replaced by a deep sense of awe. Johnny Carson stood beside the young woman, who was finally beginning to regain her composure. Her face still carried the pale traces of fear and embarrassment, but there was a new glimmer, a sense of empowerment. She had faced a moment of vulnerability in front of millions and had been met with something extraordinary: compassion, respect, and support. Carson knelt beside her again, gently offering his hand. "You're doing perfectly fine. Just take it slow," he said. His voice was calm, steady, and entirely reassuring. The audience, sensing the gravity of the moment, held their collective breath. Every eye was on them. Every camera captured every movement. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice quivering. "I didn't expect. Everyone was watching." Johnny shook his head with a small smile. "It's okay. You didn't fail. This isn't about performance tonight. It's about being human. And that is something we all struggle with." The medics had stepped back, signaling that she was physically stable, but emotionally, she still needed encouragement. Carson gave her a nod, silently communicating, "You can do this." The young woman took a deep breath, steadied herself, and slowly rose to her full height. The audience erupted into a quiet, respectful applause, some standing, some wiping tears from their eyes. Then, in a moment that would define the night, Carson did something subtle yet profound. He handed her the microphone. "If you're ready," he said softly, "you can say a few words. The world is listening." Her hands trembled as she took the microphone. She looked at Carson, who gave her an encouraging nod. Then she faced the audience and began to speak, her voice shaky at first, but growing stronger with every word. I just want to say thank you, not just to Mr. Carson, but to everyone here and to everyone watching. Tonight, I felt scared and vulnerable, but I also felt supported. I realized that showing weakness doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. And sometimes, kindness and empathy can change the world. The applause swelled. Tears streamed down some faces in the audience. Phones continued recording. Social media was already alive with posts about this incredible moment. Viewers were sharing clips, commenting, and expressing admiration. If you think Johnny Carson handled this perfectly and helped her regain confidence, type in the comments. Could you have stayed this calm and supportive? Carson smiled warmly, proud but humble. "She's right," he said. "The bravest thing you can do is face your fears and keep moving forward." Tonight is a reminder for all of us. We can lift each other up, even when the world seems overwhelming. The woman looked around, finally smiling fully. She felt a sense of connection with the audience, and with every viewer watching at home. What had started as an embarrassing collapse had transformed into an empowering, inspiring story. Even beyond the studio, the moment began to go viral. Clips circulated online, and millions of people praised Carson for his compassion and quick thinking. News outlets called it one of the most humane and unexpected moments in television history. For the young woman, The embarrassment had been replaced by a sense of pride. She realized that vulnerability could be powerful and that a single act of kindness from someone as influential as Johnny Carson could turn fear into courage. As the applause continued, Carson offered a final word of encouragement to the young woman. Remember this feeling. Remember how strong you are and how far a little compassion can reach. The cameras slowly pulled back, capturing the full scene, a studio filled with awe, respect, and admiration. The young woman, standing tall, no longer embarrassed but empowered. And Johnny Carson, the master of comedy and now the master of compassion, reminding the world what true humanity looks like. The studio lights dimmed slightly, yet the energy remained electric. The applause had finally settled into a hum of admiration. The young woman, once frail and shaken, now stood tall, her composure restored. She had faced one of the most terrifying moments of her life on live television and emerged with dignity, thanks to the unwavering support of Johnny Carson. The moment did not remain contained within the studio. Cameras, phones, and social media feeds captured every second. Clips of Carson kneeling beside her, speaking with calm authority, and encouraging her to regain her composure began spreading across the country. Within hours, millions had seen the footage. Comments, shares, and reactions poured in. Viewers praised Carson's empathy, applauded the young woman's bravery, and marveled at the human kindness displayed on national television. Headlines soon appeared. Johnny Carson turns live TV collapse into lesson in humanity. The night compassion stole the show. A legendary host shows the world what true kindness looks like. For the young woman, the viral attention was overwhelming but empowering. Messages of support from across the globe poured in. People shared their own stories of fear, embarrassment, and resilience, inspired by what she and Carson had accomplished together that night. She realized that what had felt like a humiliating moment had become a source of inspiration for millions. Johnny Carson, ever humble, did not seek the spotlight. He allowed the attention to highlight the lesson that empathy, patience, and respect can change a situation and a life in an instant. The audience and the world had witnessed a rare act, a television host prioritizing humanity over entertainment, demonstrating that compassion is stronger than panic or ridicule. The young woman later reflected on the night, realizing that the experience had taught her more about courage than she could have imagined. Fear and vulnerability, when met with support and kindness, could become tools of empowerment. The applause she had received was not just for enduring a frightening moment. It was for reminding everyone that we are human, and that's enough. Social media continued to buzz. Hashtags trended worldwide. Hashtag Johnny Carson, hashtag Compassion on Live TV, hashtag Humanity Matters, hashtag Empathy Wins. People discussed the story in schools, workplaces, and online communities. Millions were inspired to approach moments of fear, embarrassment, or vulnerability with a new mindset. The Tonight Show episode had become more than entertainment. It had become a global lesson in courage and compassion. And for viewers at home, the final, unforgettable image remained clear. Carson kneeling beside her, offering reassurance, guiding her gently, and letting the cameras capture a moment of pure humanity. It was a reminder that even in the most public and high-pressure moments, kindness and support can shine brighter than fear or shame. If you believe no one should ever be humiliated for being human, type respect in the comments, share this story with someone who needs inspiration, and subscribe for more moments that remind us of what true courage and compassion look like. The applause, the cheers, and the global admiration confirmed one truth. It wasn't just the collapse that people remembered. It was the grace, empathy, and unexpected heroism of Johnny Carson that made this night unforgettable.